County. Welcome to another edition of the Michael Zehr Show, coming to you from Rising Eagle Studios here at the Warrior Healing Center in Sierra Vista. We had a little bit of a technical issue this morning, so we're running off the hotspot on my cell phone. So hopefully this all goes good today. So today's date, I forgot to look on my watch. Doggone it, busted. Today's date is January 28th, 2022. So today is going to be another interesting interview. I love doing every single interview I've done because I always learn something unique from our veterans that help out and serve our community. And I love talking about their service. And this is a great gig and I love doing it. Well, today, another special veteran that we have with us is Rob Byron. Rob is a teacher and a registered nurse. And he works at... let's see if I try not to butcher this here now. I had to write it down phonetically. So, Berean Academy, which is a charter school here in Sierra Vista. So, Rob, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you, and thanks for having me.
Oh, our pleasure, believe me. So let's get started with the first question I'd like to ask is where are you from? Where's home originally?
My dad was Air Force, so I was born in Hawaii at Tripler.
You poor thing.
And I guess we moved around, but the most time I spent at any one place would be in Virginia, at Hampton and Newport News, Virginia.
All right.
And so I guess that's where I consider home, my home base.
So for those of you that are joining us, if you have any questions for myself or for Rob, please type them down in the comment section. I'll be glad to post it up on the screen here, and we'll be able to answer those questions for you. Or if you aren't able to watch on the live stream, if you watch it later, again, if you post in the comments, because we do try to keep an eye on the comment section, and we'll be happy to try and get back to all those questions. So what is it that inspired you to join the military, and what branch did you serve in?
I guess the inspiration was my family history. My dad... I'm the fourth of five kids. My dad was in the Air Force. My oldest brother was Army. My brother right over me was in the Army. And I really didn't have any plans leaving high school. Why not? So I joined the Army, basic training in 1979 as a military police initially.
Wow, did you go to Fort McClellan?
I did.
I was there in 77.
There's 79.
Wow, how cool is that?
Yes. And my first duty station right after that was Fort Stewart when the 24th Infantry Division was there.
Oh, Georgia.
Yes.
See, when I enlisted, you could pick your first duty station. So I wanted to be an MP at that time, and this was in 77. And I wanted to go to Hawaii. So they had me going to Schofield Barracks, Hawaii. I'd never been to Hawaii. I still never been to Hawaii, so I'm just delighted to meet somebody else that has been that's from Hawaii and was an MP that was at Fort McClellan. How cool is that?
Yeah, it's not there anymore, and it's not 95 Bravo anymore. And
the women had the basic training there when you were there.
Actually,
they did when I was
in 79 when I was there. It was like one building, 4 barracks, and one of the barracks in a joint building, square building, was a female platoon.
Because when I was there, they had women's basic training. So when we would be marching from our barracks to go to classes or go to the range or something like that, the women would be at the window, yoo-hoo, and yelling, I
don't think I remember that.
Yeah.
I do know that one of the 4 companies was for females.
And then they had a 1, 2, 3 club there.
Yes,
that I used to like to hang out at.
Never went.
No?
Oh no, never went to that thing.
I was big into the dancing and the Saturday Night Live discoing and all that.
I was too afraid. I didn't know what I could or could not do.
So you went to Fort Stewart, Georgia, you said.
Correct.
Was your first duty station.
My first duty station. And that's actually where I met my wife. I was with the 24th MP company, which was a field company.
Okay.
I spent 2 out of every 3 months in the field with Division Maine.
And was your wife in the military too?
She is. She was.
Okay.
She was an Army photographer.
Oh, how cool! You know what? My father-in-law was that. That was his MOS back in the '60s, and when he retired. How cool!
And
I love the similarities.
On a note, she retired after 20 some odd years, also, just like myself.
Wow, she should have came in too. We could have had a really.
Well,
that would have had a 2-hour interview.
I'll get into it, but she teaches now at the college.
Oh,
so but I'll get into that.
Very cool.
Yeah, my first duty station was Fort Stewart. After my initial 3 years, I went reserve time and back up to Virginia, and I was with a reserve field unit, the 88th MP Company, and more time on that. I went to Victor 5 School, which is Military Police Investigations, and I worked investigations along with sometimes being attached to the CID unit.
Wow.
Yeah.
There was a gentleman that was in here a few months ago that was a CID, and I was asking him, do all of the CID people have military police background? He said no. I was fascinated by that.
The investigators do. The police, the MPI, military police investigators do, but not necessarily the CID agents.
I just thought that was kind of interesting. So again, if you're joining us, if you do have any questions for Rob or myself, please put them down here in the comment section. So then, what did you do after that? Where was your next duty station?
Well, I stayed. That was my reserve unit. So my wife, she got out after 4 years and received an ROTC scholarship, and in Hampton, in Virginia. And then when she graduated in '88, she was moved to Walter Reed. So I found a unit in D.C. Military police, and the only place that was at Fort Meade, and it was like a reserve instructor type of academy. So I was an instructor for military police for a couple years while my wife was at Walter Reed. Now when I say Walter Reed, she too, when she got out and ROTC, she became an RN.
Oh wow! So you both have nursing backgrounds.
Correct. And then she went to Walter Reed working at the hospital there.
I love all of our nurses. I tell you, they do such a great job, and they were doing a great job way before this pandemic hit. Mm-hmm. But then with this pandemic and all the stress and everything, God bless them. So for all of those out there that are nurses or in the medical field, thank you so much. We really appreciate that. And Rob can attest to that, right?
Oh,
it's
absolutely.
Hard work. Yeah.
Absolutely. So moving around, and then about halfway through my career in the Army, I decided I wanted to become a nurse. So I started going to school. Had the reserves pay for it.
Okay.
Of course, I don't want to pay for it. They paid for it, and in 1990, I graduated and received my commission as an Army nurse.
So when you did that as a reserve, you said the reserve paid for that. You didn't go. You didn't go back on active duty and go through like MLS.
No, I stayed.
Or anything, or?
No, I did have to go to Officer Basic, but it was for nursing, for medical. It's a direct commission.
Okay.
So I went from E6 to second lieutenant.
Wow. And your wife's rank? What was she?
Right. Well, she retired as a major.
A major. Okay.
I retired as a captain.
Cool.
Of course, the wife always outranks you. So
even in civilian life, they still do that.
Yes, and but during that time, she also applied for and received a scholarship to go to University of South Carolina for her nurse practitioner.
Oh,
so
wow.
She became a nurse practitioner.
How cool!
Yeah. Again, the Army paid for that too.
Yeah.
They paid. She was a captain at the time. They paid her salary as a captain, and they paid 100% of the master's program.
Did she use the GI Bill?
No, the Army just paid for it straight out.
Just paid for it.
Sent her there, and her job for a couple of years was to go to school.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So you're both nurses now. Then
Correct.
What happens?
Well, she got deployed once to Heidelberg. She loved it.
Did you go accompanied or?
No, no. We at that point we had our first child, and somebody needed to stay back.
Okay.
So, And gosh, there's so much that went on. The in 2003, the end of 2003, I was called up to be attached to the 349th Hospital Unit out of Los Angeles to backfill Launchville Regional Medical Center.
Okay.
As a trauma nurse. And so when I was there during the assaults on Fallujah and Nothing But Marines, it was I guess the term meat market. It was every day was, because that's a lot of Marines were injured, and I took care of those along with others, but I took care of those traumatic amputations of arms, legs, gunshot, shrapnel, burns over sometimes even 95% of the body. And I did
you
that
help
for
the civilians too?
Yeah, we had civilians there too. But surprisingly, there was a big difference between the active duty personnel versus civilians and dependents.
Right.
You know, the civilians and dependents, and God bless them, but my job is to sit in this bed and wait to get better. Whereas the military, especially in the Marines, get me up, get me out of here. I want to go back down range
on the
my
line.
men. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Just out of curiosity, where were you at in 2001 when the towers got
here. We were here. I was working
at
as
Fort
a nurse.
Huachuca?
My wife was at Fort Huachuca already. She was.
Oh, wow.
This was her last duty station.
Okay.
I was still reserve, and I was a head nurse at Vista Care.
Okay.
It was a long-term facility for drug and alcohol for Native kids.
Okay.
And I remember I was working a night, and I was just getting off first thing in the morning, and I heard on the radio driving home that a plane had hit, and I was thinking, how do you fly a plane into a building? Come on,
Yeah.
I mean, is the guy blind or something? And then by the time I got home, it was the second plane, and it was like I was stuck to the television.
Yeah.
It was
as
like,
we all were. I mean, it was just a horrific sight to have to watch.
I do remember. Gosh, it's like it happened to me yesterday. The vivid memory of and watching it on television.
So going back to, so you were in Iraq.
My second deployment, I went to Iraq.
And so how long were you there for?
That time for about 14 months.
14 months.
But I was called up and requested to be attached to a civil affairs unit.
Civil affairs, what's that?
Civil affairs is you hear the term the hearts and minds of the people, rebuilding. At that time, my education had gone up to the point where I had my master's in nursing, and they wanted me to help set up some of the hospitals in the Babel province of Iraq, where Babylon is. And on a side note, I actually got to walk the ruins of Babylon.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I was there for about 14 months and would go out, do clinics, go outside the wire and perform clinics in some of the towns and cities, or in Arabic, it's Nahia and Beladia. That's my second deployment. So.
Okay. And then what happened after that? Where did you end up?
Well, I finally retired in 2012. So basic training in 79, and then I retired in 2012. I started having some problems with PTSD. And
gee, I wonder why.
It was mainly, I guess, from my time when I was at Launchville, and I would come in, and it was just something else. It's hard to explain,
right?
But seeing it every day, and
you don't have to explain it though. You're good.
It is. But some of the things that I did, I've always been a person that wants to get involved with my soldiers,
right,
or my military personnel. So while I was there, I actually got a hold of the World Wrestling Federation. At the time, they were called the WWF.
Yeah.
And I contacted them and said, "Hey, I'm here. We got all these soldiers and Marines and everything. They love your show. It'd be nice if you could do something for them." And next thing I know, I had Shane McMahon, the owner's son, call me and say,
goodness.
we want to do something. And so for the longest time, they would send boxes of shirts and hats
wow.
and belts and they a lot. And when I started getting those, whenever I gave out a shirt, I had a big shirt that said, I went to Iraq and I'm happy to be back. I started having all my soldiers and my Marines and Navy guys sign it. To include Arnold Schwarzenegger came through because California at the time he was governor and I was attached to a California unit. He signed that. It was over 500 signatures on that.
Where's it at?
It is now the Colonel Cornum was the colonel. The commander of Launchstow at the time. Okay. She found out about it. She actually put it in a glass framed picture so you could see both sides. The WWE came through, not Bramstein, but Frankfurt, and they gave us front row seat tickets and backstage passes. So we presented it to the WWE when they came through.
Did they come over there and put on a match or anything?
They put on. Yeah, it was a regular show.
Really?
Yeah, and then
and where would they set up at and do this?
It was in Frankfurt, and some building. I don't know exactly where out, but yeah, we got to go backstage. We got to hand deliver it. One of the guys who is one of my favorite wrestlers, Ric Flair.
Yeah,
he was there. He accepted it.
And the golden boy.
Oh, woo!
Yeah, yeah.
And that was a real neat time that I got to do it.
Wow.
Yeah. I also participated with the chaplains. My wife sent a guitar to me because I played.
Oh, really?
Yep. And so I played every Sunday when I had off at what they call the kayak service. Come as you are church kayak service. And the other thing was one of the things that I did to keep my sanity there was at nighttime I would come back from when I worked, I'd come back and just write about what I saw and what I heard.
Right.
And out of that, I would send it to my wife, and she would send it out to people. And one day, I decided maybe I should send it in to have a book done.
Wow. Would that be this book?
That is that book. It's called At the Bedside of Warriors.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cover your name up there.
Oh, you're good. It's called At the Bedside of Warriors, Stories of Hope, Humanity, and Heroism.
Kathy has this. This is her book, and she gave it to me because she knew you were going to be our guest today. So that's why I wanted to share that.
And it is stories of what the military guys told me.
Before we get into this a little bit, because I do want to talk a little bit about your book, I wanted to understand, were you in the reserves when you went to Iraq?
Yes.
And then were you over there as a reservist on active duty?
Correct.
Is that how it would work out? Okay. Mm-hmm. And then that active duty time would count towards retirement, whereas if you're in the reserves...
Yeah, it's only like a point a day or something like that, but yes.
I just wanted to be clear on that. Thank you. Okay, so talking about your book here, tell us what's your favorite story in this book?
Well, my favorite story is called Doc, You're My Hero. Doc was from the South, Georgia. I'll just say his first name, Joe Dan. Another Southern name there, right there. It was seriously his name was Joe Dan. He was
Joedan.
Yeah, -Dan. Joe Dan. And he was 6'3", 235 pounds. Wanted to be a Marine. His dad was Navy, and his dad says, "I really don't want you to go to the Marine Corps. He said Marines get killed and Navy guys get wet." So he honored his dad's suggestion, but he went as a medic. Okay. And guess where Navy medics get attached to?
Yeah,
Marines. So he got his wish, and Dad got his wish. And the story goes is when he was my patient. The story is that he was in a convoy. It was about the fourth vehicle back with the third and fifth Marine something MAU or I don't know exactly what that means.
And where was this at?
He was in Fallujah.
Fallujah, okay.
And the front vehicle was hit by an RPG. And so he jumped out, grabbed his bag, was on his way to the front vehicle when he heard a pop and a hiss, and an RPG blew up next to him. He said he flew through the air, hit the ground, tried to get up, but could not because his left leg was traumatically amputated from the above the knee. He gave himself a shot, put a tourniquet on himself, and started crawling towards to help
others.
Isn't
that amazing? How the human body, how people can.
And he was also he got hit by he was shot like 3 times on his right side.
Oh my gosh! So it's not bad enough he got hit by an RPG. He also got
shot on the right hip.
Oh,
and
Lord have mercy.
When he he said he remembers somebody yelling out Doc's hit, and the next thing he remembers he woke up at Launchstool. He was my patient. This man.
That's how you met him?
That's how I met him. I had him all 3 days that he was there. It was always the glasses half full, not half empty for him. He wanted to be in a room with other Marines. He did not want to be in a room with Army or Navy because we had 6-man rooms. Okay. Every time someone would come in, he would sit there and say, thank you for your service. You're just, awesome. And he had a daughter that was born that he had not seen yet, and he said, my daughter won't see me as a dad without a leg. She's just going to see me as a dad. And he even said, hey, America's the greatest. I know they'll make me a prosthetic leg, no problem, better, the best in the world. And it was always like that. It just amazed me how this young man who had all this tragedy happen in his life and things, and yet he was so positive all the time. Before he left, it was my day off, and he was down on what we call the ramp to get back on a bus to go to Ramstein to fly to America. I had just came and gave him some morphine, and he was laying on his back, covered, and they brought up a Marine next to him, and it was like, here's his head and the Marine's head, and they started talking, found out that the Marine was in that front vehicle that got hit.
Oh my goodness.
And he looked over at him and just reached his hand out, put it on his shoulder, and said, I just want to thank you for your service, for everything that you've done. Here this guy has lost a leg, got shot. I have to say I cried 2 times when I was when I was deployed. Because of the just so much that I was carrying. That was the first time. When he said that, after everything that he had gone through, he just reached over and he said, thank you for your service. I broke down. And that's the story of him. Wow. To this day, I always look up to see what he's doing and everything. But stories like that is what these kids, and I say kids because a lot of them weren't. I went to basic training before they were born.
Yeah,
and that's what I saw over and over and over again. And most of the time, the Marines or the Navy or Army, whoever, they just wanted to tell their story.
So when you wrote this book, and what kind of inspired you? Because I know you said earlier in the live stream kind of what the idea was behind it, but it's not easy to write a book.
It was my way of, because I absorbed it during the day,
right?
And to get it out of me, I wrote it on paper. It's like I transferred it onto paper.
Did somebody have to help oversee it or give you guidelines? I just poured it out.
I just poured it out.
Now I want to read it.
And even in the beginning of the book, it says nothing in this book has been changed. It's written as I wrote it and I experienced it.
Have you got the desire to write another book? I mean,
I want to add to this book.
Add to this one.
Yeah,
okay.
I want to add to it. I have about another 8 or 9 stories that I remember, and as soon as I remember, I jot them down.
Right.
But I do want to republish the book with additional stories.
So, what was your favorite duty station when you were in the military? Then, what your favorite?
My second deployment, I guess I had was favorite. I was in charge of
Really?
so many things. I One of the things I did when I told you I was helping with the hospitals to rebuild,
Uh
and they were
huh.
children's hospitals,
Oh
and
wow.
I actually wrote up a whole a plan to rebuild and refurbish these hospitals. And I worked with an organization out of Utah that would take in equipment and repair it and then sell it for like on 1/10 of what really it is, what it cost. I did a whole I don't know, it was like 40 pages of redoing one hospital, and it ended up being close to $35 million worth of equipment that we got a hospital for 5 million, and the
Wow.
Rockies paid for it. So that was one of the things that I did, was able to refurbish or rebuild, I guess you want to call it, a couple of the pediatric hospitals there.
Have you wanted to go back, or have you gone back and seen what it's like today versus when you were there helping getting that set up?
No, but I do. I was in one of the things I was in charge of the interpreters for my unit,
Okay.
and all three of my interpreters who were still there for close to 5 or 6 years after I left would tell me about it, about the hospitals, and we just talk and just laugh about things that happened. Um, Before I had left, I put in paperwork for them to try to get the special interpreter visas, and
Okay.
all three of mine were approved, and they're all in the United States now.
Cool. Have you been able to
I
keep in touch with
I
them?
have.
And
Matter of fact,
whoa.
one of them is in Phoenix, and I go up and see him a
Oh
lot.
wow.
Another one is in San Diego. I actually have not been able to see him face to face.
Okay.
And the other one is in Dearborn,
Michigan.
Michigan.
Yeah.
And my daughter lives in Michigan, so the last time I went to see my daughter, I drove
And saw
and
him.
saw him. He was not married at the time, but when in Iraq, but he was married and had a child, and it was like this. And I got to meet his wife and him, and
Wow.
just and of course they're thank you for everything you did, and because they were, I mean, their eyes were just in bewilderment of when they told me when they came to United States, so different,
Wow.
the attitude and just how people lived in the United States were so different than in Iraq.
See, I only had the honor and privilege to serve for 3 years, and one of the things that I love about the military, and I find that I do it today. I'm always on Facebook and Googling, trying to find my old friends, is that camaraderie, that connection that you get with all these different veterans where you're serving all these different places and stuff, and you like to keep in touch with them and find out how things are going. And I think that when you serve our country and you make these connections, I mean, they're forever.
Yeah,
And I mean, I just met you today, and I feel a connection. Every time a veteran walks in the front door at the Warrior Healing Center, I feel a connection with them because I know that they put their life on the line. Because when you sign up, you don't know it's
yeah.
wartime, peacetime. You don't know what where. So,
It's a shared, yeah, it's a shared connection. It's a shared experience.
hmm so after you say you're thinking about writing a second book,
Okay.
um, what were some of the what were some of your favorite things to do off duty? Like, what would you do to pass the time, especially like if you're in Fallujah or in a hostile place like that?
When I was down range,
Uh huh.
really, my wife for the second time, she sent my guitar to me, and I would just
Yeah.
play my guitar in my room. When I did not go outside the wire, we
Okay.
couldn't go anywhere. So,
Right.
and I was at Al Hilla. That's where our base station was. It was a fob, and it was also a regional embassy office. So we had a
Okay.
quite in the little area that we were at, this fob. We had a lot of different organizations. The CIA was there. The State Department was there.
Wow.
We had ODA. We had a little section, ODA, Operation Detachment A, or Special Forces. ODA was there. When we went out to do clinics or talk to a mayor about something, our security was Blackwater at the time. These guys, and they are no joke. They were no joke. I mean, it felt neat when we went to a prosthetic clinic and our security was Blackwater, and
wow.
I mean, it was like being a president. You know, they got out of their vehicles, they came around to ours, they opened the doors, they separated. You know, I mean, just like all that, they were professional.
So you're playing your guitar. Were there anybody else in your unit that had guitars? Like, would you guys get together and have little jam sessions or anything, or would you entertain any of your bunkmates or anything like that?
I did. I would come down into the common area, and play, and some guys would just sit there and listen. And the guitar kind of calms me. So
music is very soothing.
It calms me, and I love playing it.
Yeah.
And I'm a acoustic guitar, electric. I'd rather have that acoustic soft sound.
What kind of music do you like to play?
I'm a classic rock.
Classic rock? Give us some examples. A couple.
Kansas and Styx and Moody Blues.
Right up my alley. Right up my alley.
Moody Blues, and I never was a Led Zeppelin fan for some reason. Yeah, I never really was that. Harry Chapin, love Harry Chapin.
How about the Beatles?
Some of the Beatles. I'm a Pink Floyd fan too.
Pink Floyd?
Yeah. Do you know who Pink Floyd was named after?
No.
Two American blues pianists, Pink Anderson and Floyd Kramer.
Wow.
That's who they named Pink Floyd.
I remember when Dark Side of the Moon came out. That was a pretty good album. And then I don't know if it was the follow-up. It was so many years ago. But I know when The Wall came out, man.
79. That was at basic training.
That has some
when it came out.
Deep songs on there. So then you retire from the Army.
Correct.
And you had a total of how many years at that time?
28.
And where were you when you retired?
Here.
You were here. So were you...
well, actually, it was in Iraq when I got my paperwork saying maybe you ought to retire.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask. Were you somewhere else?
Yes, I was in Iraq when I got my paperwork.
Why did they bring you back to Fort Huachuca? Is that because that's where your unit
that's where my wife retired here when then we just stayed here. Our kids were at Buena at the time, and so that's why I came back here.
You gotta give us your kids' names and say hi to your wife. Give them a shout out.
My oldest child now is a second grade teacher, and in Marshall, Michigan. Okay. And she's 30 years old now. She's married to a great gentleman named Brian who loves her dearly. Good. And he's an airplane mechanic with the largest family-owned airplane business in the world at Duncan Aviation. That's outside in Battle Creek.
Wow.
And they have had our first grandchild. Here I'm 61 now, but at 60 got my first grandchild.
Cool.
That's
grandchildren are awesome. Let me tell you.
I love her. She's always so happy. Her name is Selah, and Selah in the Old Testament meant. A lot of times when at the end of any state in the Old Testament, the term Selah was at an end of a statement, and which meant pause and reflect.
Cool.
So Selah, my wife and I call her baby girl. That's it. That's her nickname, baby girl. And so yes, every chance I get, we whether it's on Facebook or whether it's on FaceTime or just talking to her.
And what's your daughter's name?
Her name is Sarah.
Sarah?
So it's Sarah Parker. And then my youngest one, who lives in Tucson, Elizabeth, she is so smart. But she also has no problem saying what's on her mind. You know, she was a cheerleader at Buena. And at the end of the year, the school year, as a senior, her award, they give awards, most likely to exceed, all those others.
Right.
Her award was most likely to say what's on her mind.
I think my daughter might have went to school with them because my daughter went to school. I think she was class of 2003.
Might have been where she might.
And my daughter was a cheerleader, so they might even know each
other.
Yeah,
they might. She went by EB, so
okay.
You could ask your daughter. But and now she is
in Tucson. You said,
and she's a manager of the second largest U-Haul there.
Oh, wow.
She's business savvy. She doesn't have a problem saying what's on her mind. She has great workers. They know what to expect from her. So I'm very proud of both my daughters and what they've done.
So you had 2 girls.
Yeah.
Oh, man. How many baseball bats did you have to go through to keep the boys away?
Oh, you mean how many shotguns?
Oh, shotguns.
Yes.
You were, okay.
Shotguns. I didn't have to worry about my youngest one because she would just,
She had a shotgun of her own?
Yes. And so those, my wife and I are so proud of what they've done. And we hope it reflects on how we raised them. So,
very cool.
Yeah.
And your wife's name?
Theresa.
Just so we give them a shout out.
Yeah, and her name is Theresa. Theresa Byron also. She retired from the Army as a nurse practitioner. And she worked for a couple years for Dr. Maduro initially, who was the gastroenterologist here.
Jaha?
Yes.
He was my GI doc back in the day.
She worked for him. She was like the pre and the post surgery type of stuff.
Yeah.
And then she wanted to teach. So she applied for it and started, and she's at Cochise College. She teaches first semester nursing.
Is she at the nursing school or
yes,
at the main campus?
The hospital.
Yeah.
Or the old hospital.
Old hospital.
Yep. She teaches first semester. She loves it.
I'm over there every Thursday afternoon at the DAB, so that's why I was asking if it was.
Yeah, stop on by, see her. Yeah. She's there right now, and she's going. Her class right now is a pediatric class.
Okay.
And she actually, like some of her students this past week, they're having a hard time going to different schools because of all the corona and stuff. But our school says, come on down, bring your students.
Yeah.
So, she was there with her students this past week.
My wife teaches 3rd grade at Bella Vista. So, I don't know if you know her or not. Gail is her first name.
No, I barely know all the teachers at where I'm at.
I just figure if you're in education, everybody just knows everybody, right? No?
Yeah. I mentioned that I teach science, history, art, and life skills. And the life skills, you know what I'm teaching life skills? I'm teaching them how to write cursive. They do not know how to write cursive. But one of the other things I'm doing right now, 4 years ago, I've been doing this for 4 years, teaching. I started like a military Common Core class for the school. And it was really slow for the first 3 years. And then this year, I got an assistant who just retired from post. He was an MP.
Okay.
And he's very gung-ho. And my military Comm Corps has exploded. People are waiting in line to come now to be part of this. We do so many things. Yesterday, and I was telling you before we started, yesterday we got the kids to rappel off the buildings. They were scared, sure they were, but the building
there's a danger element there too.
Oh, we had everything checked. He's qualified as a rappel master.
Okay.
So we showed him all week long how to put on the Swiss seat, how to make one.
How exciting!
Even a short little. There's a little ledge behind the main building that we have our. It's called the NPR. I can't remember what NPR meant, but where we eat lunch and there's a basketball court, and right behind it, it's a little stage, and so about 3 feet off the ground, and so they slowly, put the Swiss seat on and slowly went backwards to get that feel of about to rappel. And then yesterday, every one of the students, even the ones that said, we have 19.
19?
And that's a lot. You look at Buena, and they got over 300 students, but it's a large school. 19 is a very big class
for us,
for a charter school. And every single one, even those that said at the beginning, I ain't doing this, I'm afraid. No, his name's Sergeant Moretta. He was at the top. He was on rappel, and I was on belay. And he talked every one of them into it. He calmed them down. He talked them into it. And they all got to do it. And every time they came down and at the bottom, man, they were like, everybody was clapping and they were, yay!
Good
and
job.
They said their hearts were pounding. And so it's neat. It's just to see that and see kids overcome fears.
Yes.
And I say kids because they're about 14 years old.
Well, I was going to ask you when you mentioned that you taught
8th grade.
8th grade. Okay.
Yeah, they loved it. They want to do it again now.
Now, how big is your classroom size when you're, like you said, you taught what subjects again?
Science, history, art, and life skills. Okay. My class, right now is not very large. It's 15.
Okay.
It can other years I've had up to 30. But they're now splitting. We have 2 8th grades and 2 7th grades. Okay. And before, last couple of years, it was just like one 8th grade.
Do they rotate so that you get different students, or do you have those same group
I have those same students all day long. All right. We do have roaming teachers that teach math, that roam around, that come into my classroom. I don't teach math or English. English and literature. We have another teacher that comes in and teaches that.
When you're teaching at Byron Academy, hopefully I said it right.
Yes.
Is it just go up to 8th grade?
No, from all the way to high school. Seniors.
It does do high school.
Seniors.
So it goes what, K through 12?
Correct.
Okay. All right.
Correct through 12.
And you've been teaching there for how long?
4 years.
For 4 years. So what are some of your other activities and things that you'd like to do here in our community?
Well, Sierra Vista has a semi-pro football team. They're called the Apaches. Mm-hmm. The Apaches. I started with them. This is our second year. I started with them right after their first practice last year. Somebody came up to me, and actually the coach came up to me and found out who I was and asked me if I wanted to be the medical director or medical trainer. Okay. And I happily said, yeah, I'll do that. So we it's just there are a lot of younger and older.
I was going to ask, what are the age groups in that?
Well, we got from 18 all the way to, I think our oldest guy that plays is 43.
His last name wouldn't happen to be like Rogers or...
No, Morales. He's the owner.
I can't think. Oh, Brady.
Brady, yeah.
Brady.
Oh, the GOAT.
Those guys I don't think they're ever going to retire.
No.
They just keep going and going and going.
When you got a good offensive line, you can do that.
Yeah.
So this is our second year.
Okay.
We're going to be playing in the DFL, which is the Desert Football League out of Phoenix. So we'll have like four games. We'll have 4 games here in Sierra Vista, one in Tucson, at the Arbins Field, behind the Ethelberger Center back there. There's a football field there.
That's where we're going to. Where the baseball fields are and all that, and the soccer fields.
Yeah, and that's where we're going to play. Our league starts on the 19th of February, and it's our first game is going to be in Phoenix. But we'll have I think the week after that, the week after the 19th of February, the next week we'll have our first home game there at Arbins Field.
Wow. You'll have to keep us up to date on that, like in the comment section, so we can let our viewers know, so that when it gets closer to that date, so we can get that information out.
Oh yes, it's pretty neat. These guys, some of them are played for Tombstone High School, Bisbee, Buena. We got running backs that went to Buena that were there, and they didn't get really looked at for college or anything, but they still had that drive to play. And so that's who's playing.
Is there like a fee to join the team?
There is. They're not paid.
Right, but is there like a sponsorship too that helps pay for anything?
We look for sponsors. Some of the sponsors we've had is Pioneer Title. They've sponsored us. Buffalo Wild Wings has sponsored us. Billy Powers, who owns the flower shop and donated, he's sponsored us. McDonald's has sponsored us. But we always need different sponsors because getting into, you have to pay to get into these leagues, and
well, not only that, but equipment is expensive.
I mean, $4,500 to just
for the
as a league fee. No, a league fee to get into to play in the league.
So how do they, like for their helmets and pads and all that? What
Some
they
of them have to buy their own,
own?
or uniforms we'll buy, and we're one of the things that we're looking at right now to help get another set. We have one set of uniforms. We'd like home and away set of uniforms for sponsorship. Is the Billy again with the flower shop has offered us to help him out at Valentine's Day delivering flowers, and he'll up to $2,000 for us for helping him. So we're actually all saying yes, let's do it.
I haven't met Billy, but I've heard a lot about Billy, and one of the things is that they like to, the flower shop, they like to support veterans too.
Oh, big time.
You drive by, you see that sign they have out there that says...
He supports a lot of different things here in the community.
Yeah.
A lot. And
we need people like that, you know.
Yeah.
So since we're talking football, I got to ask, who you going for then in the Super Bowl? Who do you want to see?
I really think San Francisco's
really?
Yeah.
See, I'm kind of pulling for Cincinnati. I'm a Bears fan, but I would like to see Cincinnati because I don't think they've won it ever, or if they have, it's been, and I think the last Super Bowl they were in was against the 49ers, and the 49ers beat them.
I'm just, with me, as a big South Carolina Gamecock fan, you got Deebo Samuel that's
right.
That just is on fire for them.
Yes.
And every time I see him, it's like, yeah, Gamecocks.
He looked like he got hurt, though, towards the end of the game.
Yeah, a little bit.
I saw him limping off there. Yeah. So you want San Francisco then, huh?
Yeah, why not?
Who's your favorite NFL team? Do you have one?
Yeah, I have to say the Cardinals.
The Cardinals? Okay.
Yeah, I have to say the Cardinals. I've been a Cardinals fan, even, I guess, when Kurt Warner was started, because I really like him as a person.
Good Christian man.
And yeah, as a person and as a player. Mm-hmm. So that's when I started watching the Cardinals.
So if you had any kind of advice or any like inspirational kind of thing that you'd like to share with our veterans, what would that be? What kind of advice would you like to pass on to them?
I guess I do, because as soon as you were asking me that, I thought of something that I always tell my students and I tell others. Whether you're a student or a veteran or old, even young, if you want to do something, do it. I mean, whether you want to skydive or tandem or go to Hawaii or go to the Grand Canyon to watch the meteor showers, I always tell them, that, listen, you may say, well, maybe next year or a year, but it's going to take me 2 years to save money to do this. Time is going to happen. 2 years are going to come. 1 year is going to come. And at the end of that time, if you haven't done it, you're going to say one of two things. You're either going to say, I'm glad I did it, or I wish it could have, would have. And don't be that. Don't be the, I wish I'd done it. I could have done it. But I didn't do it. Just do it. Just go fulfill what that dream that you wanted to do.
Well, as you know, we're not guaranteed tomorrow.
No,
right?
No, you're right.
What is that saying? Don't put off tomorrow
what you could do today. A good example, you just mentioned that, and I tell people, I have a 1966 Mustang that I put over $35,000 into it.
Wow.
I drive it every single day because I don't know, and I tell people, I don't know if I'm going to be alive tomorrow. Yeah. I'm not going to leave it in my garage.
And look at it.
It's for anybody that's been out there. If you see that blue with white stripes, that's mine, and I love that car.
And it's a 66, huh?
66.
How many miles you got on it now?
On the new engine, about 1,400.
Okay. What has it got total right now? Do you know?
I don't. Odometer? Yeah, I don't know. Because I put a new odometer in it.
Oh, so you did?
Everything in that car's new. Everything in it.
Wow. How does that work with the title and stuff, though, if you put a new odometer and stuff in? Do you have to – I've never heard of that, so –
I don't know. I have to go look at my title. I've never really thought of that.
I was just curious because you know how but then it's always been is it engine mileage? I don't know.
I don't know, but I need to look at that because I don't know what it says.
Google will know. We'll have to just ask Google. Google knows everything.
Oh,
let me tell you.
Gosh, that's so funny. When you don't know something, just Google it.
Yeah. Have you got anything in closing here that you'd like to add? Anything that you'd like to share with us?
No. Just well, for the football team, come out and support us at the football games. We're on Facebook. It's Southern Arizona Apache Football Club.
Okay.
And our game schedule will be on there if you come on out and just watch. And
what's your shirt?
Oh, University of South Carolina.
Oh, okay. All right.
I'm I am. I just, even my wife just say, they're playing. I'm not even, he's in the man cave. Let him go. So.
Well, Rob, I'll tell you what. I appreciate you joining us today. I do have a couple announcements here to do real quick if you could hang out with us.
Oh, sure.
And give me a second, and then we'll get you out of here. And I just can't thank you enough for coming in and sharing your story. And I really wanted to touch with you more on the medical stuff, being a nurse. Yeah. But that could take a whole nother hour.
Oh, sure.
And I don't know if Kathy wants me in here for a 2-hour show. So, okay. So today's event, well, not today's events, but this upcoming week's events, I should say, that we have coming up here at the Warrior Healing Center that I would like to share with you. The first one is the Aarp Tax Aide that's coming up, and the Vita preparation. It starts on Tuesday, the February 1st, and you have to have an appointment for that. And the appointment started on January 24th. So if you want an appointment to come in and get your taxes done for free, call 520-255-8830. Again, that number is 520-255-8830. Or you can go to www.calendly.com. It's CALENDLY.com/Sierra-Vista-taxes. I think it'd be easier just to make the phone call.
Yes.
On Monday, January 31st, starting at 0900, we have the Marine Corps League breakfast. They meet there every Monday at the Landmark Cafe. So come on down and join other Marines, meet for some coffee and old war stories. If you'd like to join them, again at the Landmark, or call 520-456-5720. This upcoming week, January 31st, on Monday, the Five Treasures of Qigong is canceled for that night. I'm sure they'll be back the following week. On Tuesday, February 1st, got a new month coming up.
Already.
It's crazy. February 1st, starting at 0900, going to 1200 hours, we have the Warrior Pantry / Salvation Army food distribution. Also on Tuesday, and this is a group that I've been promoting, and I donated myself a little bit to I promoted it in the Cochise County. I run a group called Cochise County. Well, it's not. What is it? Arizona. I can't think of it. Cochise County AZ Veterans is what it is, and it's a Facebook group. That's what it is. Jeez, I had a brain fart there for a second. And what it is Leslie Bryant runs this organization. It's called Hero Paws, and they have a service animal support group that runs out of here at the Warrior Healing Center, and that is going to be on Tuesday, February 1st, starting at 1800 hours. And again, that's Hero Paws Service Animal Support Group. Man, sorry, Leslie, I kind of messed that one up. But on Wednesday, February 2nd, starting at 1000 hours, we have the Velo Bets Sierra Vista Group Ride, and that's going to take place at the Pueblo del Sol Country Club parking lot. Velo Bets is an organization run by Stu Carter, and they get veterans on bicycles,
nice.
Disabled vets, and it's a good organization. I highly recommend it. So if you get some time, check them out. On Thursday, we also Thursday, February 3rd, starting at 1000 hours, going to 1800 hours, we have Live in Harmony veteran appointments. That's at the Warrior Healing Center in Suite 2. And what that is, live in harmony. What they do is reflexology, detox foot baths, ear cleaning, B12 shots. They do quite a bit of stuff. Also, I don't see it on the list. I wonder if we're doing the soup today, because I don't see it on here. Because I know every Friday we have been doing the hot soup. So Kathy, if you're watching, are we doing the hot soup today? I hope so. Because I tell you what, they have the best soups. They get them, soups. Yeah, they get them donated from the Olive Garden.
Oh, nice.
Or there's a couple volunteers that will cook up like chicken noodle soup. There was one that was like a white chicken. It was a little on the spicy side, but oh man, it was so good. So hopefully we're having our hot soup today, but I know we're having it next Friday, February 4th, and that starts at 1100 hours. And last but not least, we have the Warrior Experience. It's a support groups. It'll be on Saturday, February 1st, starting at February 5th. I'm sorry, Saturday, February 5th, 09:30 to 10:30. Warrior Healing Experience here at the Warrior Healing Center Recreation Room. I feel like I have cotton in my mouth or something.
Kathy says it was chicken noodle and acorn squash soup.
Ooh.
I got one other thing that I wanted to mention today. Sure. At 1 o'clock, the football team and my military cadet corps for the last 3 weeks have been doing a food drive for the Warrior Healing Center. And today we're dropping. We're going to be dropping everything off at 1 p.m. Members of the football team, members of my cadet corps, we'll all be here. I have a Forerunner. The whole back is packed with all kinds of canned goods and dry goods and
that is amazing.
Yeah, so that's happening today here too.
Did they raise that food?
They did.
And then are they distributing it, or
no, we're going to bring it here and for the center to refurbish your pantry.
Well, would you please thank them on the behalf of the
Warrior
Healing Center?
Absolutely.
That's amazing. They went around and collected it, or did they have a food drive?
They had food drive. The football team had a food drive, and my cadets, they were in front of the school handing out the paperwork saying, "Hey, please do this." And I mean, it's been amazing.
Awesome. Well, Rob, again, thank you so much for sharing everything today. And hopefully we can get you to come back in and sit down with us again and give us a little update on how the football league is going and with the students and everything. So thank you so much.
You're welcome, and thanks for having me.
Oh, our pleasure. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today, and I will see you all again next Friday. Have a great weekend. Bye.